What's up, World of Warcraft? This is Arrows. This is going to be a guide to a Restoration Druid and the healing effects it has. We're going to start off with some of the talents. The main talents you're going to use, if you want to look at them, you go to your spellbook under core abilities. Will be Rejuvenation, Regrowth, Nourish, Healing Touch, Life Bloom, and Swift Mend. Life Bloom you'll always want to keep up on your tanks. Always keep 3 stacks, and whenever you cast a direct heal as a Nourish, Regrowth, or Healing Touch, it will refresh it to its max time again. Rejuvenation is just a instant cast heal, heals for a decent amount at a reasonable mana cost. Regrowth is a quick heal, be Druid's Flash Heal, that comes with a hot, it comes with it. Nourish will be your filler spell. It's a 2.25 second cast for me with all my haste, about a 2.5 second cast. It's a good spell for filler. It heals for mediocre damage, and it's a low mana cost. Healing Touch is your high heal spell, but it comes with a same cast as Nourish, but a much larger heal or mana cost, but you also get a much larger heal. This will be for periods of large amounts of damage. You should switch to this over Nourish. Swift Mend is whenever you have a Rejuvenation or Regrowth, it's gives you an instant heal plus a hot, but it's a circle on the ground, a little green circle that you may see. If you stand in that, it'll heal 3 friendly targets that have the most health gone. It'll heal them back up, and it's a fairly powerful spell. Next thing will be Glyphs. I currently have Glyph of Life Bloom, which is pretty much a tank swapping glyph. Whenever you have any stacks, 1, 2, or 3, on a target, and you switch to another target and cast Life Bloom again, it'll transfer all stacks, whether it's 1, 2, or 3, which is nice if you're switching targets a lot, especially for tank swapping. It'll just transfer the 3 stacks and put it at full duration again, instead of having to cast it 3 times again. I have Glyph of Rejuvenation, which is nice if you have to spam Nourish a lot. If it's on more than 3 targets, it will reduce the cast time of your Nourish by 30%, which can be very helpful, especially during periods of high damage, where you'll have Rejuvenation on multiple targets. And last, I have Glyph of Rebirth, which is pretty much the battle res for a Druid, and instead of 60% health, it increases it to 100% health, so it's very useful in a raid, especially if the tank dies. You can click that, and it'll bring him right back up to full health, and if you use it with a talent, it'll be an instant cast. We're going to move into talents next. Your talents are fairly similar for the most part. It's pretty much how you want to set it up. The preferred talents in the first tree are Feline Swiftness and Wild Charge. Both are just situational. The Displacer Beast is more of a PvP. If you're into PvP, that's very well. It will transport you 20 yards and stealth you in cat form. So it's great for getting out of combat, especially in PvP. Wild Charge, while healing, you can pull yourself to a target, so it's kind of like a reverse leap of faith. Instead of you pulling someone to you, you go to them. And then Feline Swiftness is just an overall increase of your movement speed by 15%. They're all situational, it all depends on what you prefer. If you want the increased speed, go for it. The Wild Charge is nice in raids. It does different things depending on how your raid is. If you're standing on fire, you need to get out, you can use that. For the second tier, Nature Swiftness, Renewal, and Cenarian Ward. Renewal is more of a self-heal. It's not very useful in raids unless you tend to take a lot of damage and you can't heal yourself. But for the most part, that's just a leveling or PvP situation. Nature Swiftness gives any Cyclone, Entangle Roots, Healing Touch, Hibernate, Nourish, Rebirth, or Regrowth become instant and increases their healing duration and amount they heal by 50%, which is very useful. So if the tank's taking a lot of damage, you can come down, be like Nature Swiftness and Healing Touch, and it'll be a free Healing Touch and it'll heal for 50% more. Or per se the tank dies, you can use it and combine it with Rebirth, and it'll be an instant cast, no cast time, no worries, and bring them right back up. Cenarian Ward protects a friendly target, causing any damage to be taken to heal the target for 15,500 every 2 seconds for 6 seconds, gaining the healing effect consumes the Cenarian ward, usable in all shapeshift wards, and it lasts 30 seconds. This will be something you throw up in a tank during heavy damage. Once again, it's situational. If you prefer this over Nature's Swiftness, choose that. It's all of your choice. For the third tier, we're going to have Typhoon, Mass Entanglement, and Fairy Swarm. Once again, they're pretty much all situational. These will all be movement impairing or slowing effects. The Typhoon will push any target back within 30 yards, knocking them back and dazing them for 6 seconds. Mass Entanglement is you just cast 5 Entangle Roots, up to 5 Entangle Roots on the target. So it's great if there's mobs following the tank or something along those lines, or you need to get out of range of mobs, you can hit that and it'll snare 5 targets and give you time to run away. And Fairy Swarm is just a slowing effect that replaces Fairy Fire. It's useful in certain events, but not many. For the fourth tier, we have Soul of the Forest, Incarnation, and Force of Nature. It summons Force of Nature summons 3 treants. It's just an old Boomkin talent. They give you increased damage. It's not very useful for a healer, and that's you feel like doing damage, I guess. Incarnation is where you get your Tree of Life form. It's once again situational. If you prefer to have that, you can have that. If you don't, then don't. It just increases your healing done by 15% and armor by 120. Enhances your Life Bloom, Wild Growth, Regrowth, and Tangle Roots. Your Life Bloom, it lets you cast unlimited, is for the duration of the Tree of Life form. Instead of only being able to cast it on one target, you can cast it on all, or as many as you can cast it on. For the Regrowth, it makes it an instant cast, which it still has the mana cost, so be careful with spamming it. It's great for when you have a lot of healing output you need. You can hit this and just spam instant cast Regrowth, but watch your mana. The Wild Growth, it'll affect 1 additional target, and your Entangle Roots becomes an instant cast. And Soul of the Forest is another good one for Resto. You gain 50% haste for the next spell when you cast Swiftmend. So it's just one spell after you cast Swiftmend is 50% faster, which is always good. You get one spell that casts a little bit faster every time you cast it, and Swiftmend is on a 15-second cooldown, so once every 15 seconds you get a 15% boost. On your 5th tier, we have Disorienting Roar, Ursul's Vortex, I think I said that right, and Mighty Bash. These are all, once again, CCs. Mighty Bash will stun the target for 5 seconds. Fairly simple. Ursul's Vortex you can place a Vortex on the ground, and any targets that fall within that Vortex will be slowed, and when they reach a certain distance outside of it, it will actually pull them back, kind of like a tornado, and it will slow them again, allowing you time to run away, or if you have a tank that has adds following him, you can use that to slow the adds and pull them back, give the tank some more room to ahead of them if you need to heal them up or something along those lines. And Disorienting Roar is just a fear. All enemies within 10 yards for 3 seconds. Any damage will remove the effect, so it's just a mass fear. Then for the last tier we have Heart of the Wild, Dream of Cenarius, and Nature's Vigil. Nature's Vigil increases healing and damage done by 20% for 30 seconds. While it's active, any single target damage will do 25% healing, and any single target heal will do 25% AoE heal to friendly targets in the nearby area. Dream of Cenarius, whenever you cast a damaging spell, it'll increase your healing by, 30% for your next heal. Does not affect Tranquility. Or whenever you cast a healing spell, it'll increase the damage of your next two Moonfires or Sunfires by 50%, or your next 2 melee abilities by 25%. And the last one is Heart of the Wild, which is just an overall increase to your stamina, agility, and intellect at all times. It's just a 6% buff to all of your primary stats. And it has 4 things depending on what you are. It has Non-Guardian, Non-Feral, Non-Resto, and Non-Balance. Depending on which spec you are currently, when you hit that for your 45-second cooldown, it'll give you abilities in whatever form you take. So if you're Restoration, and for some reason the tank died and you need to tank real quick, you can hit that, and for 45 seconds you will become a Feral tank, or I guess Guardian tank now, and it will grant you all of the abilities of a if you were a Spec Guardian, and same thing for Feral, Restoration, or Balance, depending on which spec you are. These are once again all situational, and whatever you prefer. Dream of Cenarius is currently listed as the highest, but it requires you to do damage in order to get the 30% buff. Nature's Vigil I prefer because it's just for 30 seconds you heal for 20% more. It doesn't really affect any of your cooldown, rotation, nothing like that. It just, you hit it and it's there, versus Dream of Cenarius you have to actually attack the mob in order to get the buff. So while healing, especially during periods of heavy damage, is not quite as useful. Then Heart of the Wild is just an overall buff, depending on if you want an overall buff, if you prefer that. It's nice if you're going to be doing a lot of PvP, because you can switch out of your Resto and go into a different form, and you'll be granted all of the abilities. So it's always nice to have. And for people always say for rotations and stuff like that, there isn't really a set rotation for restoration. There is pretty much, if you're tank healing, you always want to keep Life Bloom at 3 stacks. Then whenever he takes damage, you want to cast Nourish within 15 seconds of Life Bloom, because it will have fallen off. Which if you cast Nourish, Regrowth, or Healing Touch within 15 seconds, it will actually renew it on the target. I'll try to show it here. So say I have 2 stacks and it's falling off, and you cast Nourish, it'll bring it back up to its full duration. Or if you cast Regrowth, it'll also do the same effect. Any of your direct healing spells will do this. So it's at 13, Healing Touch brings it back up to full. Any target you have Rejuvenation on, you can cast, or Regrowth, you can cast Swiftmen, which this is this green circle. If you stand within it, you get fairly decent healing effect. I mean, it heals me for quite a bit. Whenever you have a target that's low on health or starting to take damage, you should cast Rejuvenation. It's just a nice little hot that puts on, and it heals them over time. And if that doesn't do enough, you can supplement Nourish in there and help bring them back to full health. If it's extreme periods of heavy damage, Regrowth is a very short cast with a small hot that comes with it. It has a 60% crit chance built in, so it's not affected by crit that you have. It's always 60%. You can Glyph Regrowth, and it will bring it to a 100% chance, but it'll remove the hot, so it'll act just like a flash of light or something along those lines, but with a 100% crit chance. Then you have Wild Growth, which is a AoE spell that hits up to 5 targets in your party or raid. This is your mass AoE. If you have multiple targets taking damage, you should do this, and it will heal the 5 lowest health targets at that time. Then Heal and Touch is your massive heal spell. For me, it heals a 59k. It has the same cast time as Nourish, but costs about 3 times the amount of mana. So it's very situational. If Nourish isn't enough, start casting that. But you should try to use Nourish majority over Healing Touch, as Healing Touch will burn through your mana very fast. We also have Tranquility, which is another mass AoE heal spell that'll heal the 5 lowest targets within 40 yards, and this one will switch targets depending on who is the lowest health at the time. It is a 7.2 seconds. It'll heal every 1.8 heal a target. It heals for a fairly good amount of damage. We also have Iron Bark, which is our tank cooldown, or anyone who's taken heavy damage. It'll reduce the damage taken by 20% of all damage. That includes spells and melee. Then for us, we also have Innervate, which you can innervate a target, getting 10% of their mana back. You can use it on yourself, and it will give you 20% mana back if you're getting low. We have Nature's Cure, which is our remove curse, magic, and poison effect. It is on a 8-second cooldown, so be careful when you use it. Try to primarily use it on a tank or someone who's taken a lot of damage from an effect. We have our Self Bark Skin, which is our self damage reduction. If we're taking damage, you should use this. It's on a 45-second cooldown, reduces all damage we take by 20%. And then we also have one more AoE spell, which is Wild Mushroom. You can place up to 3 mushrooms on a specific area, and anywhere within the circles where they will heal. And then we have Wild Mushroom Bloom, which is your actually cast the spell. You can actually leave them up and they'll sit there for 5 minutes. You have little timers up top, like 5 minutes for 3 of them, and they'll just sit there until you hit this, the Wild Bloom, and it will bloom the mushrooms. It is a fairly weak spell, so it's not used. It's very situational. There's very few fights that you want to set them up pre-fight, but like one here, and then people are going to stand there. Then during periods of damage, you can let them go, and it will heal the targets. But you should not be trying to set them up mid-fight to heal targets, because the healing effect of it is not very well. And let's see, we got on your abilities from being Restoration. Let's get to the end of the tab. You get Killer Instinct, which grants 100% intellect as agility when you shapeshift into bear form or cat form. Leather Armor Specialization, which increases your intellect by 5% while wearing only leather armor. Living Seed, anytime you hit a critical hit with a target, it'll grant 30% of that onto a seed essentially, so the next time the target gets hit, it'll heal him for the 30%. Malfurion's Gift, which is a cooldown. The cooldown of your Tranquility spell is reduced by 3 minutes, and your cooldown in your Barkskin is reduced by 15 seconds, which is very nice because Tranquility is still it's a 3-minute cooldown. It's usually 6 minutes or so, so that tends to be very nice. Your Mastery is your Harmony. Any direct heals will increase your healing by a set percent depending on how much mastery you have. It is only affected by direct heals. So that's, once again, Life Bloom lasts for 15 seconds. This lasts for 16, or no, it lasts for 20 seconds. So it should never fall off, essentially. Once you cast your Essential Life Bloom, your very first, and you keep it up with either Nourish, Regrowth, or Healing Touch every 15 seconds, it will keep your mastery up at all times. So we cast Nourish, it lasts for 20 seconds. Mine gives me 16% periodic healing increase, and this also crit, which gave me Living Seed. So next time I get hit, it'll heal me for 11,000, which isn't a lot, but it's still very nice. And being Nourished is a very weak spell. It only heals for, let's see, it heals me for a little bit less than 20k, and if it crits, it heals for about 30 to 40. Versus Healing Touch heals me for closer to 60, heals me for 58, and if that crit, you're looking at 100 plus. So 100k plus, that's a pretty good chunk of health. If a Living Seed, you crit and hit a Living Seed, which is 30%. So you're looking at 30k or more, which if a target hits for 30k, then that's a pretty hard hit. Then we go on, we have Meditation, which allows you 50% of your mana to regenerate while in combat. It's Stack Spirit. You have increased mana pool by 400%, which is all casters. Nature's Focused increases your hit chance by 15% and reduces pushbacks from taking attacks or taking damage by 70%. Omen of Clarity is your clear casting. Has a 4% chance to proc off any of your spells. Life Bloom is specifically nice for this because it ticks every second, which is your fastest healing spell. It is the fastest healing spell in the game. So every second you have a chance to get clear casting, which I just got. It reduces the mana cost of your high class spells, which would be either a Healing Touch or your Regrowth. Every time you get this, you should cast one of these two spells. It lasts for 12 seconds, I believe. I'm not positive. Then Primal Fury, which is just a passive ability, generates 15 rage, or you have 100% energy whenever you shift into your bear form or cat form.
I can't do that.
It's not really effective outside of healing. And then your Swift Rejuvenation reduces the global cooldown of Rejuvenation by 0.5 seconds. So it's already a fairly short cooldown on your global cooldown. So you can pretty much just spam it. It's, I mean, extremely short, like half a second cooldown. Then as for your stats, one of your primary ones will be, your primary stat of course is going to be intellect. You're a caster, that should always be your primary stat. Follow that with haste. You should hit haste until you hit the soft cap, which is 12.5%. At 12.5% you will get an extra tick of Life Bloom, Wild Growth, Rejuvenation, and Tranquility. At about 5% you'll actually hit the life bloom, which is fairly easy to hit, and from there on up at 12.5 you'll hit the other 4, or other 3 I mean. Then you have a hard cap haste, which is a 21.4, where you'll gain an additional tick of wild growth, another tick of life bloom, and a tick of regrowth. That's an extremely hard one to hit, and should only be attained if you have extremely high level of gear. Don't gem insane amounts of haste and everything just to try to hit that. There's other stats that are more better. So once you hit the soft cap of 12.5, you should switch over to mastery and increase that until you don't feel like increasing it no more, until your gear reaches the point of you can reach the haste cap, the haste hard cap. Followed by that, you have your crit, which is your lowest. Your crit should always be reforged into either spirit or haste or mastery, depending on which one is not on the piece of gear currently. It is your least wanted stat, so you should try to reforge that off of your gear. Then your most important stat outside of intellect will be your spirit, which gives you mana regen. Let's see if I can find it. I can't find the spirit, but anyway, it gives you your mana regen, and this is very situational to you. If you tend to burn through a lot of mana really fast, then get more spirit. That's all there is to it. Because if you're going in a fight and you're coming out 1/4 of the way and you're going ohm, you still have to go 3/4 of the fight with no mana, which if you're in a raid, that's not acceptable. You have Innervate, which will give you 20% mana back, which is on a 3-minute cooldown. You also have one potion you can use, which gives you 30% mana back. Unless you have Alchemy, then it gives you a little bit more. But Spirit should be, right now I have my mana regen is at 14.7k outside of combat and 10.3k in combat. So every 5 seconds I'll get 10k mana back, which depending on whether you heal, depending on how your heals are, I should say. If you tend to be a heavy mana user, you want more spirit. If you tend to be more conservative and you can keep everybody alive that way, you'll want less. It all depends on how you play, your play style. Certain fights require you to use more mana, so you might want to just find a nice safe spot where you know you're not going to run out, or you be able to run out but you'll have enough mana left after Innervate or something along those lines, just to keep you going throughout the fight. I know it's really hard right now as a healer to not go ohm. I've seen quite a few healers in raids go ohm, and it's pretty much just situational. I mean, some fights you can stay full mana the entire fight, and some fights you go ohm within 20 seconds of entering it just from high damage, so you just want to try to conserve it the best you can. Other than that, I think that's about it that I can remember. Most of your food that you'll want to either have a spirit food or an intellect food. If you're running low on spirit, use the spirit food. If you have a decent amount, use intellect. We have Flask of the Warm Sun, which will give you 1000 intellect, or Flask of the Falling Leaves, which will give you 1000 spirit for an hour, and it persists through death. So that's always good, one of those two, depending on how well your spirit or your mana regen is. If you're low on that, use the spirit. If you're fine, use the intellect. It will give you more healing output. As for that, I believe that's everything that I can think of. So thank you guys for watching my video and listening. Hopefully you guys learned something. If you guys have any tips or anything I should say or improve, let me know and I'll take notes of it. And I'll see you guys later.